Tammy Slaton had always been a force of nature, a whirlwind of personality, humor, and unwavering determination. Her life, which had seen its share of struggles, victories, and personal growth, had recently taken a new and thrilling turn. After nearly 3 years of dating, she and her fiancé, Andrea, had decided to take the next step in their relationship. The engagement was official, a shiny new symbol of their commitment, but not everyone in Tammy's family viewed it with the same enthusiasm. A significant portion of her family expressed concern. Some worried about whether Tammy truly understood the responsibilities that marriage entailed, especially given the health challenges she faced. Others muttered privately, cautioning that caution was necessary, fearing that Tammy's dreams might lead to difficulties. But Tammy, as usual, was unshakable. She had spent years living her life on her own terms, making her own decisions, learning from her missteps, and claiming her independence. At this point in her life, she was determined not to let anyone dictate her happiness. One afternoon, Tammy sat in her favorite chair, Andrea's hand clasped gently around hers. The sun filtered through the windows, highlighting the familiar warmth of her home. The walls lined with memories of perseverance, laughter, and love. Tammy's gaze was steady and resolute. "I love Andrea," she said, her voice firm yet calm. "This is my home, my life, and my decision. I'm going to create the environment I want, the life I deserve." Andrea squeezed her hand, smiling. "I'm right here with you. Whatever you want, we'll make it happen together." Tammy's engagement brought a surge of excitement and activity into her life. Wedding preparations were underway, and she approached each detail with her characteristic determination. She didn't seek to appease others or follow anyone else's vision. Instead, she imagined a celebration that mirrored her own personality, vivid, joyous, and brimming with laughter. Friends and supportive family members offered their help, assisting with decorations, selecting her dress, and organizing the celebration. Andrea remained her constant anchor, encouraging her at every step and reminding her that together they could overcome any challenge. Of course, the path to the wedding wasn't without tension. Decisions about guest lists, seating arrangements, and wedding colors sparked small disagreements. Some relatives felt slighted when their suggestions were ignored. Yet Tammy remained steadfast. She had always been the architect of her own life, and this was no exception. "This is my time, my home, and my family," she often reminded herself. As the wedding day approached, Tammy reflected on the life she had fought so hard to build. She wasn't just marrying Andrea. She was celebrating the home she had lovingly cultivated, the life she had chosen, and the future she had envisioned for herself. Standing in her living room, adorned with balloons and sparkling lights, she turned to Andrea and whispered, "This is us, no matter what anyone says." And that's all that matters. When the day finally arrived, Tammy walked down the aisle with radiant confidence. Her eyes glistened with tears of joy, and her smile shone with unfiltered happiness. Surrounded by loved ones who respected her choices and celebrated her love, Tammy felt a profound sense of reclamation. Her life, her love, and her home were hers, untouchable and precious. Her commitment to herself and her happiness was evident in every step, every vow exchanged. This day wasn't just a testament to love. It was a declaration of courage, independence, and determination. Meanwhile, in another part of the Slaton household, Amy Slaton experienced her own small but significant transformation. One morning, Gage babbled merrily from his high chair as Amy adjusted her ponytail in front of the mirror. Amy laughed genuinely for the first time in weeks. Later, when Tammy visited, she noticed the glow on her sister's face. "Well, look at you," Tammy remarked with her signature teasing tone. "You look worn out but happy." Amy smiled, nodding. "I am happy today. I took care of myself." That evening, as she put Gage to bed, Amy had a revelation. Reclaiming herself was about more than fitness or weight loss. It was about reclaiming her identity, step by step, and learning that thriving as a mother didn't mean losing herself in the process. At the same time, Tammy was immersed in her own growth. Early one morning, she wheeled herself to the small kitchen table, documents spread out before her. Today was significant. She was interviewing prospective nurses. After months of ups and downs in her weight loss journey, Tammy was seeking someone who could provide more than medical support. She wanted a partner in her journey, someone who respected her independence while guiding her forward. Amy sat beside her, offering moral support and a warm smile. "I can't believe you're handling this like a boss," she teased. Tammy rolled her eyes, but smiled faintly. "I need someone who won't treat me like a child, but who also knows when to guide me. Balance is key." The first candidate, Nurse Brenda, brought experience and confidence but lacked warmth. She emphasized structure, boundaries, and strict schedules. Tammy questioned whether Brenda could adapt to her unpredictable needs. "Too strict," she noted in her pad. The second candidate, Nurse Kyle, was cheerful and optimistic, joking freely and emphasizing positivity. While his energy was refreshing, Tammy realized she needed discipline along with encouragement. "I don't need a friend. I need a nurse," she told Amy quietly. Finally, Nurse Elise arrived. Calm, perceptive, and composed, she asked insightful questions, focusing on Tammy's motivations and resilience. When Elise left, Tammy felt certain. She had found someone who understood her, someone who would support, challenge, and encourage her on her path forward. Later, Amy reflected on her own journey. Sitting at her kitchen table with a cup of coffee, she browsed house listings. Her first home had symbolized independence, but now she sought something more: space for her children, a fresh environment, and a sanctuary to grow. Discussing it with Tammy, she received the support she needed to take the next step. Days later, Amy found her perfect home, a place with a large backyard and open spaces where her children could play freely. Despite doubts, she confirmed her offer, and when it was accepted, tears of joy filled her eyes. Tammy hugged her firmly, pride evident in her voice. "You've earned this. You're creating something real." The move brought relief and hope. Amy's children played in the yard as boxes were carried inside. The home wasn't perfect, but it was hers, a symbol of new beginnings and growth. That evening, she reflected on her body, her health, and her journey. Loose skin and stretch marks reminded her of struggles, motherhood, and perseverance. Even the idea of plastic surgery wasn't about vanity. It was closure, a recognition of how far she had come. Amy's consultation with Dr. Matthews was thorough and informative. He emphasized the importance of stability, health, and patience before considering surgery. Amy listened carefully, asked thoughtful questions, and left with renewed understanding. She realized that transformation wasn't just external, it was internal, ongoing, and a testament to her resilience. For Tammy and Amy, the past months had been about more than weddings, fitness classes, and new homes. They had been about reclaiming their lives, asserting independence, and embracing growth with courage and determination. In the quiet hours of early morning, Tammy sat in her wheelchair, the soft glow of dawn spilling through the window. On the table before her lay the neatly arranged notes from her nurse interviews, each page a reflection of potential paths, choices, and trust. It was a milestone in her life. More than just hiring help, this was about reclaiming her autonomy and ensuring the next stage of her life would be supported by someone who understood her journey. Amy, sitting beside her with a steaming mug of coffee, couldn't hide her pride. "Girl, I still can't believe you're handling all of this yourself," she said with a smile. "You're doing interviews like a true boss." Tammy chuckled softly, but rolled her eyes. "It's not about impressing anyone, Amy. I need someone who will challenge me, push me, and hold me accountable. Too soft or too strict won't work." Their first candidate, Nurse Brenda, had left a strong impression but not the one Tammy desired. Brenda's firm, unyielding approach emphasized schedules, structure, and rules, but lacked the human touch Tammy needed. "I respect discipline," Tammy had written in her notes, "but this feels cold. Too rigid." The second candidate, Nurse Kyle, was the opposite. His approach was casual, upbeat, and humor-filled, focused on optimism and encouragement. He joked about midnight pizzas, praised her progress, and reminded Tammy to enjoy her journey. While he brought positivity, Tammy realized she needed more than smiles and encouragement. Life isn't always easy, Tammy thought. I need a nurse who can challenge me without breaking me. Finally, Nurse Elise arrived. From the moment she entered, Tammy felt a shift. Elise didn't attempt to charm or impress. She was calm, observant, and asked questions that made Tammy pause and reflect. When you feel like giving up, what keeps you going? Elise asked softly. Tammy's initial hesitation melted into honesty. My future. I want to survive. I want to truly live. Elise nodded. I understand. My role isn't to control you. It's to support you, remind you why you started, and encourage you to keep moving forward, even on the hardest days. For the first time, Tammy felt a sense of certainty. This wasn't just an interview. It was a partnership, a chance to create a foundation for her life that combined independence with support. When Elise left, Tammy exhaled deeply. She circled Elise's name on her notes. This was the one. Meanwhile, Amy's life was also taking on new momentum. After weeks of reflection and browsing listings, she had committed to purchasing a new home. Her first home had been a dream, but it no longer fit her evolving needs. She wanted space for her children to play freely, a layout that allowed her to move and breathe, and a sanctuary to nurture both herself and her family. Amy's siblings, Chris, Amanda, and Misty, gathered to discuss the decision. Chris, ever cautious, reminded her of the responsibilities she was assuming. It's a big step, Amy. Make sure you've thought this through financially and emotionally. Amanda, more supportive, smiled reassuringly. As long as you're not rushing to escape something, I think it could be great for you. You deserve a place that feels like your own. Misty nodded, adding her encouragement. It's a fresh start, Amy. And you've worked so hard to get here. Don't second-guess yourself too much. Amy took their words to heart. She knew that a new home wouldn't erase her challenges, but it would give her a space to grow, heal, and thrive. A week later, after careful consideration, she placed an offer on a house with a large backyard, ideal for her children. When the call came that her offer had been accepted, tears of relief and joy filled her eyes. Tammy was the first to celebrate with her, enveloping her in a firm hug. You're creating something real, Tammy said. You deserve every bit of this. The move itself was a family effort. Boxes were carried, furniture rearranged, and walls filled with new memories. Watching her children run across the yard, Amy felt a profound sense of accomplishment. This house was more than a structure. It was a symbol of progress, independence, and hope. But Amy's journey wasn't solely about her home. She faced the ongoing challenge of her own body. After losing over 100 pounds, she had achieved something extraordinary, yet the loose skin on her arms, stomach, and thighs remained a constant reminder of her past struggles. It wasn't just about vanity. It was about closure, a physical acknowledgement of her journey. When the day came for her consultation with Dr. Matthews, Amy felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The waiting room was filled with patients, each at different stages of transformation. Some stood proudly in clothes that fit their new bodies, smiling confidently. Amy gripped her hands tightly, drawing a deep breath to steady herself. This wasn't about superficial change. It was about completing a journey she had fought for years. Dr. Matthews greeted her warmly. Amy, congratulations on everything you've accomplished, he said. What you've achieved is remarkable. Amy nodded, her eyes brightening slightly. Praise felt foreign after years of criticism, yet she welcomed it. The doctor carefully explained the procedure of skin removal surgery, emphasizing its role as a final step after substantial weight loss. He outlined what was medically feasible, what limitations existed, and the recovery process. You've worked incredibly hard, Dr. Matthews said, and your body needs to be ready. Stability is crucial. This isn't a quick fix. It's the final step in a long journey. Amy asked questions about scars, pain, and how her recovery would impact her ability to care for her children. Tammy, sitting nearby, added her characteristic frankness. It's going to hurt like hell, isn't it? The doctor chuckled softly. With proper support, it's manageable. It's not easy, but it's certainly achievable. Amy left the consultation with a mixture of emotions: excitement, fear, skepticism, and hope. She realized that judgment from others, fear of setbacks, or lingering insecurities couldn't overshadow her hard-earned progress. She had persevered through obstacles, faced her fears, and now had the opportunity to complete a chapter she had worked years to reach. Dr. Matthews advised waiting a few months to ensure her weight remained stable, and Amy left the office feeling a renewed sense of patience and purpose. That evening, standing in front of her home mirror, Amy studied her reflection. Every fold of loose skin and stretch mark told a story of persistence, survival, motherhood, and self-discovery. She felt a profound sense of pride, recognizing that transformation was as much internal as it was physical. Plastic surgery might come later, but she had already begun changing in meaningful, irreversible ways. Tammy, observing her sister's journey, also found inspiration for her own. She was navigating her life post-wedding, adjusting to the presence of Elise, her new nurse and companion, and reflecting on the independence she had fought to maintain. Life was evolving in ways both sisters hadn't fully anticipated, filled with challenges, triumphs, and moments of reflection that pushed them to grow further. The sisters leaned on each other, celebrating victories and supporting each other through doubts. Tammy's engagement and marriage marked a milestone in reclaiming her autonomy, while Amy's fitness journey, home purchase, and consideration of surgery symbolized a different kind of independence. Both were learning to assert control over their lives, prioritize their health, and embrace change with courage. Amid the small victories and monumental milestones, the sisters discovered a shared truth. Life wasn't about perfection, approval, or escaping past difficulties. It was about making intentional choices, nurturing oneself, and embracing growth, even when it felt daunting. Every step, whether it was hiring a nurse, buying a home, attending a fitness class, or preparing for surgery, was part of a broader journey towards self-determination, confidence, and resilience. Even in ordinary moments, Tammy organizing her day, Amy placing the final boxes in her new home, there was significance. These acts reflected their determination to reclaim control over their narratives, shaping futures not dictated by circumstance or external judgment but by choice, effort, and the unwavering belief in their right to happiness. As part 2 of their journeys unfolded, it became clear that both sisters were entering new chapters, not defined by past struggles, but by resilience, courage, and an unyielding commitment to live authentically. Tammy had claimed love, partnership, and agency. Amy had claimed health, space, and self-respect. Together, they moved forward, sisters bound by shared history, mutual support, and the determination to continue shaping lives on their own terms. The days following Amy's consultation with Dr. Matthews were filled with reflection, planning, and quiet determination. Amy spent time walking through her new home, observing the sunlight streaming across the open kitchen, the way her children's laughter bounced off the walls, and the serenity of the backyard where they could run freely. Each corner of the house became a symbol of freedom, independence, and a fresh start. For Amy, the move wasn't just about relocating physically. It was about reclaiming her life from the chaos of the past, making intentional choices, and fostering an environment where her children could thrive. As she arranged boxes and unpacked belongings, she felt a growing sense of accomplishment and confidence. She was no longer merely surviving day to day. She was actively building a space that reflected her growth, resilience, and priorities. Evenings became a time for reflection. Amy would sit with her children after their bedtime routines, sipping tea, and reviewing her progress in quiet thought. Her weight loss journey had been grueling, with months of physical strain, emotional setbacks, and constant adjustments. The loose skin on her arms and stomach reminded her of those challenges, but instead of evoking shame, it now symbolized the fight she had fought and won. Every mark told a story of perseverance, courage, and motherhood. Meanwhile, Tammy continued to adapt to her life with Elise, her new nurse. Elise had quickly become more than a caregiver. She was a companion and motivator. Together, they developed routines that balanced medical needs with personal growth, incorporating exercise, mental health check-ins, and strategies to maintain Tammy's independence. Elise understood when to encourage, when to correct, and when to simply be present, a delicate balance Tammy had been searching for. One afternoon, Tammy and Elise worked on mobility exercises in the living room. The sunlight spilled across the floor, illuminating Tammy's wheelchair as she maneuvered through the routines with determination. Elise's guidance was steady and empathetic. "Remember, Tammy," Elise said softly, "progress isn't about perfection. It's about consistency and effort. Even small victories matter." Tammy nodded, feeling the truth of those words. She had spent much of her life battling limitations imposed by weight, health, and circumstance. Now, with Elise's support, she was reclaiming her strength, independence, and confidence, one step at a time. The bond between Tammy and Elise grew steadily. Elise's quiet, perceptive nature contrasted with Tammy's fiery, determined personality, creating a partnership that was mutually empowering. Elise didn't coddle Tammy, nor did she impose strict rules. Instead, she offered guidance rooted in understanding, patience, and respect for Tammy's autonomy. During this period, Tammy also devoted attention to her marriage with Andrea. The excitement of newlywed life was interwoven with practical realities, but Tammy approached each challenge with her characteristic resolve. Together, they navigated household routines, medical appointments, and wedding commitments that lingered even after the ceremony. Andrea's presence remained a source of encouragement, a steady hand guiding Tammy through both joyous and challenging moments. Meanwhile, Amy faced the realities of motherhood intertwined with her own self-care. Balancing her children's needs with her personal health and recovery was no small feat, but Amy had begun to find her rhythm. Attending fitness classes regularly allowed her to release stress and strengthen both body and mind. The camaraderie she found with other mothers provided encouragement and a sense of community, reminding her she wasn't alone in her journey. Amy's reflections often led her back to Tammy. Watching her sister navigate her post-wedding life with strength and independence inspired Amy to pursue her own growth with renewed determination. The sisters shared frequent conversations, offering support, advice, and encouragement. While their challenges differed, the underlying themes of resilience, autonomy, and self-empowerment remained the same. One morning, Amy woke early and walked through the kitchen of her new home, her hands resting lightly on her hips. She thought about the consultation with Dr. Matthews and the months of preparation that had led to this moment. She felt gratitude for her health, her children, and the support system she had cultivated, including Tammy's steadfast presence in her life. Amy also began researching lifestyle changes to support her upcoming skin removal surgery. She consulted with nutritionists, physical therapists, and other mothers who had undergone similar procedures. Each conversation reinforced her determination to approach the surgery as a natural continuation of her journey rather than a quick fix. Amy understood that the process would require patience, dedication, and resilience, but she felt ready. Back in Tammy's world, the wedding aftermath had ushered in new routines and responsibilities. While her marriage brought joy, it also required adjustments and compromises. Andrea's patience and understanding allowed Tammy to maintain her independence while integrating their lives together. Elise's support ensured that Tammy's health and mobility remained a priority, creating a structured yet flexible environment that fostered growth and confidence. Tammy's evenings often included quiet reflection, seated in her favorite chair with Andrea by her side. They would discuss future plans, challenges, and accomplishments, creating a shared vision for their life together. Tammy found solace in these moments, recognizing that her marriage was not only about love, but also about partnership, mutual respect, and shared growth. One day, Tammy decided to take a small step that held significant meaning, reorganizing the living space to better accommodate her daily routines and her physical needs. She worked closely with Elise, moving furniture, labeling items, and setting up designated areas for exercise, leisure, and medical care. Each adjustment, though seemingly minor, reinforced Tammy's autonomy and her ability to shape her environment according to her needs and preferences. Similarly, Amy undertook projects in her new home that emphasized practicality and joy. She set up play areas for her children, organized storage solutions for household management, and created a cozy reading nook where she could unwind. These changes reflected Amy's growing confidence and her commitment to creating a home that nurtured both her family and herself. As the sisters continued to navigate their individual journeys, they found themselves reflecting on the lessons learned from the past. Tammy's marriage, Amy's fitness and home ownership, and the careful planning of medical decisions all highlighted a central truth. Life was about intentional choices, resilience, and the courage to pursue personal growth despite challenges and skepticism from others. Amy found motivation in her children's laughter, the warmth of her new home, and the tangible progress she was making in her health. Each workout, each organizational improvement, and each self-care decision reinforced her sense of agency. Tammy, meanwhile, embraced the balance between independence and support, recognizing the value of trust, discipline, and emotional connection with those who cared for her. The sisters' lives were no longer defined solely by past struggles or external expectations. Instead, they were actively crafting their narratives, reclaiming control, and embracing growth in ways that felt authentic and empowering. Their journeys were a blend of practical action, emotional resilience, and the unwavering pursuit of personal fulfillment. Even ordinary tasks carried significance. Tammy's careful organization of her home and medical routines, Amy's preparation of meals and creation of spaces for her children, and the simple moments of shared laughter and conversation between the sisters all contributed to the broader narrative of self-determination and empowerment. Tammy's focus on mobility and health, coupled with Elise's guidance, allowed her to approach daily challenges with confidence. Andrea's support reinforced the stability of her personal life, ensuring that her marriage complemented rather than constrained her independence. Amy's journey, marked by homeownership, fitness, and preparation for surgery, symbolized the tangible outcomes of persistence, planning, and self-respect. As weeks passed, Tammy and Amy each delved deeper into their respective journeys, navigating both triumphs and obstacles with a steady determination. For Tammy, life after her wedding was a balance of independence, marriage, and self-care. Elise's guidance remained a cornerstone of her routine, helping her maintain health, mobility, and emotional stability. With each passing day, Tammy grew more confident in her ability to manage her life on her own terms while accepting support where it was needed. One morning, Tammy wheeled herself to the living room, her eyes tracing the light streaming across the furniture. Elise had prepared a schedule of exercises, stretching routines, and mobility drills, carefully designed to enhance Tammy's independence. Tammy approached the tasks with characteristic focus, each movement deliberate and purposeful. "It's not easy," she admitted, her brow glistening with sweat, "but it's progress. Every small step counts." Elise nodded, her calm voice reassuring.
Exactly.
"Progress isn't measured by perfection, Tammy. It's measured by persistence, effort, and the consistency with which you challenge yourself." Even simple household tasks took on new significance. Tammy organized her living space to maximize accessibility, ensuring that daily routines, cooking, personal care, and leisure activities could be managed efficiently. Each adjustment, no matter how minor, reinforced her autonomy and her confidence. She had learned over the years that control over one's environment could empower as much as it enabled independence. Amid these routines, Tammy and Andrea shared moments that balanced joy with the reality of married life. Their days included mundane chores, appointments, and shared responsibilities, yet each moment strengthened their bond. Andrea's support was unwavering, patient, encouraging, and attuned to Tammy's need for autonomy. Together, they navigated the complexities of partnership, communication, and compromise, establishing a foundation of mutual respect and love. Meanwhile, Amy continued to immerse herself in her new home and lifestyle. With her children playing in the backyard, she found pockets of time to focus on her health, self-care, and long-term goals. Her fitness classes remained a crucial outlet, providing physical challenge, mental clarity, and emotional connection with other mothers who shared similar experiences. These classes reminded Amy that she was not alone in her journey and that small, consistent efforts compounded into meaningful progress. Amy's thoughts often returned to her upcoming skin removal surgery. While she recognized it as a necessary step for completing her transformation, she also understood that true growth extended beyond the physical. This procedure represented closure, a reward for years of discipline, struggle, and perseverance. She had faced criticism, self-doubt, and setbacks, but she had also celebrated victories, no matter how small. Every pound lost, every workout completed, every healthy choice made was a testament to her resilience. One afternoon, Amy stood in her kitchen, reviewing her schedule for the upcoming weeks. She noted appointments with nutritionists, physical therapists, and surgeons. While the calendar appeared crowded, Amy viewed it as a roadmap toward continued growth. Each appointment was a deliberate action, reinforcing her commitment to her health, her children, and herself. Tammy, too, experienced moments of reflection and contemplation. Sitting in her wheelchair by the window, she observed the subtle movements of her home. The sunlight shifting across the floor, the quiet hum of the air, and the distant sounds of the neighborhood waking up. These small details reminded her of the control she had regained over her environment and her life. Every choice, from the layout of her living room to the timing of her exercises, was a deliberate act of autonomy. The sisters maintained regular communication, sharing updates, insights, and encouragement. Amy recounted her progress in fitness classes and her excitement about the home, while Tammy described her growing partnership with Elise and the day-to-day challenges and victories of her married life. Their conversations were a source of motivation, reinforcing the idea that personal growth, resilience, and independence were achievable, even in the face of obstacles. Challenges, of course, were unavoidable. Tammy occasionally faced frustration with physical limitations or logistical hurdles. Yet these moments were met with determination rather than despair. Elise's support helped her navigate difficulties without undermining her autonomy. "It's okay to struggle sometimes," Elise reminded her one afternoon. "What matters is that you keep going and recognize the progress you've made." Amy, too, encountered obstacles. Managing a household, raising young children, maintaining her fitness routine, and preparing for surgery demanded careful time management and emotional fortitude. At times, she felt overwhelmed, questioning whether she could sustain the pace. Yet each small success reinforced her confidence. Completing a challenging workout, organizing a room in her new home, or receiving positive feedback from her children became tangible markers of achievement. In addition to practical challenges, both sisters faced internal struggles. Tammy occasionally wrestled with the balance between independence and reliance on support, questioning how much guidance was helpful without compromising her agency. Amy confronted insecurities regarding her body, her fitness progress, and the perceptions of others. These internal conflicts, while subtle, were significant. They tested their resilience and forced them to confront vulnerabilities honestly. One evening, Tammy reflected on the months since her engagement and wedding. She had navigated skepticism, family tension, and the complexities of married life, yet she emerged more confident and self-assured. Elise had become an invaluable partner in her journey, combining empathy with discipline to help Tammy reclaim control over her health and mobility. Andrea's love and patience complemented Tammy's determination, creating a harmonious balance of support and independence. Amy's reflections were equally profound. Her new home, fitness achievements, and preparation for surgery represented tangible outcomes of her effort and persistence. She recognized that growth was not linear, setbacks were inevitable, but so were victories. Her focus shifted from perfection to progress, from fear to empowerment. She began to view herself not as a mother surviving day-to-day, but as a woman actively shaping her life, her environment, and her future. The sisters' journeys also highlighted the importance of intentional choices. Tammy's careful selection of Elise, her thoughtful approach to mobility and health, and her deliberate planning of daily routines exemplified the power of agency. Amy's decisions regarding her home, her fitness, and her medical care underscored the impact of proactive action and self-awareness. Both recognized that empowerment stemmed not from circumstance, but from deliberate, consistent effort. Throughout these months, moments of joy punctuated the routine. Tammy and Andrea celebrated anniversaries and milestones in their marriage, sharing laughter and quiet moments of connection. Amy reveled in her children's growth, the satisfaction of organizing her home, and the encouragement of supportive peers in her fitness classes. These instances reinforce the value of gratitude, perspective, and recognition of progress. The sisters also began to anticipate the future with cautious optimism. Tammy envisioned continued growth in her marriage, health, and independence, while Amy contemplated the next stages of her transformation, including the possibility of surgery and further development of her home environment. Both approached these plans with thoughtful deliberation, balancing ambition with practicality. Ultimately, Part 4 highlighted the central truth that had emerged through these months of change. Life was defined not by circumstance, past struggles, or the judgment of others, but by intentional choices, the pursuit of growth, and the courage to act authentically. Tammy and Amy, through their unique journeys, embodied this principle, illustrating that transformation, whether emotional, physical, or relational, was a product of persistence, reflection, and unwavering self-belief. The days turned into weeks, and both Tammy and Amy found themselves navigating new levels of growth, responsibility, and self-discovery. Tammy's life, while full of love and stability with Andrea, also demanded vigilance, determination, and careful planning. Each day began with her morning routines, followed by exercises with Elise, medical check-ins, and household management. These tasks, though routine, carried profound significance. They were tangible steps toward maintaining independence, health, and confidence. Elise had become more than a caregiver. She was a partner in Tammy's journey. Her presence brought both reassurance and challenge, striking a delicate balance between support and accountability. Tammy appreciated this dynamic deeply. Elise never sugarcoated the difficulties, nor did she allow complacency. Instead, she emphasized effort, progress, and the importance of self-reliance. One morning, during a particularly challenging mobility drill, Elise reminded Tammy, "Growth happens when it's uncomfortable, when you push past what feels easy. You've done it before, and you can do it again." Tammy's response was a determined nod. "I know. It's hard, but I've fought through worse. I'm not letting this stop me." Andrea, witnessing these interactions, admired Tammy's resilience. He often remarked on how far she had come, noting both her strength and her willingness to accept guidance. Their partnership was defined by trust, communication, and mutual respect. Andrea recognized that supporting Tammy did not mean taking control of her life. It meant walking alongside her, encouraging autonomy while offering love and stability. Meanwhile, Amy's focus remained split between her children, her fitness, and the preparations for her upcoming surgery. After months of rigorous workouts, she had achieved a level of physical fitness that gave her confidence in her body's readiness for the procedure. Each class, each stretch, each squat was a reaffirmation of her resilience and commitment. Amy also devoted time to mental preparation. She understood that surgery, even when carefully planned, was both a physical and emotional challenge. She engaged in mindfulness exercises, journaling, and reflection, considering not just the procedure itself, but how it would impact her family, daily routines, and self-perception. Amy knew that maintaining a positive mindset was as crucial as physical readiness. One afternoon, Amy and Tammy met at a local cafe, the sun casting a warm glow across the patio. Their conversation flowed easily, covering everything from wedding memories to home improvements, fitness milestones, and future plans. Amy shared her apprehension about surgery, her fear of potential complications, and the lingering insecurities about her body. Tammy listened intently, offering support tempered with honesty. "You've come so far, Amy," Tammy said softly. "This surgery isn't about perfection. It's about completing a journey you've already started. You've done the hard part, losing the weight, building your strength, reclaiming your life. The rest is just the finishing touch." Amy nodded, feeling the weight of Tammy's words. It wasn't just reassurance, it was validation. For years, Amy had battled self-doubt, criticism, and fear. But in this moment, she realized that her efforts were legitimate, valuable, and deserving of recognition. Back at Tammy's home, life continued with a rhythm defined by independence, love, and careful planning. She and Andrea tackled daily tasks together, from cooking to medical appointments, balancing responsibilities while preserving Tammy's autonomy. Elise guided Tammy through mobility exercises and routines that strengthened both body and mind. Tammy's confidence grew steadily, not just from physical improvements, but from the sense of control she had regained over her environment and life choices. Tammy also began revisiting hobbies and interests she had once enjoyed but had set aside due to life's demands. She spent time reading, organizing photo albums, and exploring creative outlets that provided relaxation and mental stimulation. These activities reinforced her sense of identity beyond health challenges, marriage, and household management. Tammy realized that personal fulfillment required attention not just to responsibilities, but also to passions and joy. Amy, in parallel, continued to embrace growth through fitness, self-care, and home life. Her children's laughter and curiosity provided constant reminders of why she was pursuing these goals. Fitness classes, long walks, and structured workouts became rituals of empowerment, offering both physical improvement and mental clarity. Each milestone, whether completing a challenging routine or navigating a complex day with her children, contributed to her growing sense of capability and confidence. The upcoming surgery loomed as a significant step, but Amy approached it with a calm, determined mindset. She researched procedures, prepared her home for recovery, and established a support network to ensure her children's needs were met during her absence. Amy understood that preparation, both practical and emotional, would be essential to navigating the process successfully. As the sisters supported each other through these transitions, they also learned to embrace vulnerability. Tammy confided her occasional fears about dependence, the strain of physical limitations, and the challenges of married life. Amy shared moments of doubt, insecurity, and fatigue, acknowledging that personal growth often came with discomfort. These exchanges strengthened their bond, reinforcing a sense of shared understanding, empathy, and resilience. One evening, Tammy and Andrea hosted a small gathering at their home, celebrating a recent milestone in her health journey. Friends and family offered congratulations, shared stories, and reveled in Tammy's accomplishments. The event underscored how far she had come, not just in her physical health, but in reclaiming her autonomy, asserting her choices, and nurturing meaningful relationships. Amy, attending the gathering, felt a profound sense of inspiration. Watching Tammy's journey unfold reinforced her own commitment to growth and self-empowerment. She reflected on the interconnectedness of their experiences. Each sister's determination, resilience, and intentional action served as motivation for the other. They were not just supporting one another, they were co-creating an environment of encouragement, ambition, and authenticity. In the weeks leading up to Amy's surgery, both sisters focused on practical preparations. Tammy assisted with childcare, home organization, and emotional support, ensuring Amy could approach the procedure with minimal stress. Amy, in turn, celebrated Tammy's achievements, acknowledging her growth, independence, and thriving marriage. Together, they cultivated an atmosphere of mutual respect, shared responsibility, and encouragement. Tammy also took the time to reflect on the meaning of her own progress. Beyond marriage, mobility, and independence, she considered the emotional growth she had experienced, learning patience, embracing vulnerability, and balancing support with autonomy. Each success reinforced her belief that personal empowerment was not a static state, but a continuous journey requiring resilience, self-awareness, and deliberate effort. Amy, preparing for surgery, similarly embraced the lessons of her journey. She acknowledged the years of struggle, the victories hard-earned, and the ongoing commitment required to maintain her health and well-being. She recognized that the surgery was not an endpoint, but a continuation of a broader journey toward confidence, empowerment, and personal fulfillment. The sisters' shared experiences highlighted the transformative power of intentional action, resilience, and mutual support. Tammy's marriage, mobility, and autonomy, coupled with Amy's fitness, homeownership, and medical preparation, illustrated the importance of setting goals, embracing challenges, and celebrating progress, both large and small. As Part 5 concluded, Tammy and Amy stood at pivotal points in their respective journeys. Tammy had established a stable, independent life with Elise and Andrea, navigating challenges with confidence and grace. Amy was on the cusp of completing a transformative chapter in her health journey, preparing for surgery with careful planning, emotional readiness, and a sense of accomplishment. Together, the sisters demonstrated that empowerment was not merely about achieving external milestones, but about cultivating resilience, agency, and authenticity. Their stories intertwined, offering mutual inspiration, encouragement, and affirmation that life could be intentionally shaped through deliberate, courageous action. In this stage of their lives, the Slaton sisters were not just surviving, they were thriving. Every decision, whether related to health, family, home, or personal growth, reinforced their agency and reflected their unwavering commitment to living authentically. Through support, reflection, and determination, they continued to build lives defined by empowerment, resilience, and purpose. The day of Amy's surgery arrived with a mixture of nerves, anticipation, and quiet determination. She had spent months preparing, physically through workouts and careful nutrition, mentally through reflection and mindfulness, and logistically by arranging her home, childcare, and support systems. Every detail had been considered to ensure a smooth process, yet the magnitude of the moment weighed heavily on her. Tammy arrived early that morning, Elise accompanying her to provide guidance and reassurance. The sisters exchanged a brief, meaningful hug. "You've got this, Amy," Tammy said, her voice steady but warm. "You've worked so hard for this moment. Remember, it's just the next step in your journey, not the whole story." Amy smiled through a hint of nervousness. "Thank you, Tammy. I feel ready, but it's still scary." Tammy placed a reassuring hand on her sister's arm. "It's okay to be scared. Courage isn't about not feeling fear. It's about moving forward despite it." The hospital staff greeted them efficiently, guiding Amy through pre-operative procedures. Tampering with nerves was inevitable, but Amy felt grounded knowing she had prepared thoroughly and had her sister by her side. Elise stayed with Tammy, who provided moral support, sharing her own experiences of resilience, perseverance, and embracing challenges with patience and determination. In the operating room, Amy's thoughts flickered between fear and excitement. She reflected on the years of struggle, the triumphs of weight loss, the small victories in daily fitness, and the steady journey of motherhood. Each memory reminded her of her strength, the discipline she had cultivated, and the support she had nurtured, not just from Tammy but from her friends, family, and community. Hours later, Amy emerged from surgery into the recovery room, groggy but stable. The procedure had gone smoothly, and the medical team praised her preparedness and resilience. Tammy, waiting nearby, squeezed her hand gently. "You did it," she said softly, a proud smile lighting her face. "I've never been prouder of you." Amy managed a tired but grateful smile. "We did it," she replied. "This isn't just my victory, it's ours. Thank you for being here." Recovery was gradual. Amy's body needed time to heal, and she experienced both physical discomfort and emotional vulnerability. Yet every day brought progress, no matter how incremental. Tammy's presence, Elise's guidance, and her own resilience enabled her to approach each challenge with patience and confidence. During recovery, Amy had time to reflect deeply on her journey. The surgery symbolized more than aesthetic change. It represented closure, validation, and empowerment. It was a testament to years of hard work, discipline, and self-belief. She realized that transformation was never solely about appearance. It was about reclaiming autonomy, embracing growth, and honoring one's efforts. Meanwhile, Tammy continued to thrive in her marriage and life with Elise. Each day reinforced her independence, confidence, and capacity to manage her health and household while nurturing meaningful relationships. Andrea's unwavering support complemented her autonomy, creating a dynamic of partnership grounded in love, respect, and mutual growth. Together, the sisters maintained a rhythm of shared reflection, encouragement, and celebration. Amy's recovery became a shared journey, with Tammy providing practical help, emotional support, and gentle motivation. In turn, Amy's determination, resilience, and progress inspired Tammy to continue embracing challenges with courage and optimism. One afternoon, as the sun bathed Amy's new home in warm light, she walked slowly in the backyard, supported by Tammy's guidance and Elise's watchful attention. Her children played nearby, laughter ringing through the air, while the scent of freshly cut grass and blooming flowers filled the space. In that moment, Amy felt a profound sense of peace. She was not just surviving or adapting, she was thriving, fully immersed in the present, and actively shaping her life on her terms. Tammy observed her sister with quiet pride. "Look at you," she said softly. "You've taken everything life gave you, every challenge, and turned it into strength. You inspire me." Amy smiled, feeling the depth of that acknowledgement. "And you inspire me too, Tammy. We've both fought so hard for control over our lives, for independence, for happiness. Seeing you thrive, it reminds me that I can do the same." Their conversations often drifted into reflections about resilience, growth, and the meaning of empowerment. Tammy shared insights from her marriage, her work with Elise, and her efforts to maintain autonomy while accepting support. Amy shared revelations from her recovery, the pride of managing her home, and the strength cultivated through physical and emotional challenges. Together, they cultivated a shared understanding of life as a continuous journey, one where obstacles were opportunities and victories were evidence of perseverance. As weeks passed, Amy's recovery progressed smoothly. She regained mobility, strength, and confidence, gradually resuming her daily routines. Her body bore the marks of transformation, scars, folds, and stretch marks, but they no longer carried shame. Instead, they were symbols of survival, persistence, and self-love. Amy realized that true transformation was both external and internal, a testament to the years of dedication, struggle, and resilience she had invested in herself. Tammy's life continued with a balance of love, independence, and growth. Her marriage with Andrea flourished, strengthened by mutual respect and shared experiences. Elise's support allowed her to maintain autonomy, navigate health challenges, and embrace personal development. Tammy's routines, exercise, household management, and personal hobbies reinforced her confidence and sense of agency. Together, the sisters celebrated milestones large and small. Birthdays, anniversaries, fitness achievements, home projects, and recovery successes were marked with gratitude, reflection, and joy. They acknowledged the significance of each victory, understanding that empowerment was cultivated through persistence, intentional action, and mutual support. By the conclusion of this chapter in their lives, Tammy and Amy had fully embraced their transformative journeys. Tammy had claimed autonomy, love, and independence through her marriage, health, and daily life management. Amy had completed a monumental chapter in her personal transformation, combining physical recovery with emotional growth, homeownership, and motherhood. Their stories intertwined, offering lessons of resilience, courage, and empowerment. Both had navigated skepticism, self-doubt, and external challenges, emerging stronger, more confident, and fully engaged in shaping their lives. The Slaton sisters had demonstrated that true transformation was not a single event, but a continuous process of intentional choice, perseverance, and authenticity. As the sun set over their lives, both sisters reflected on the journeys that had brought them to this point. Tammy's laughter with Andrea, Elise's quiet guidance, and the accomplishments of daily life provided affirmation of her autonomy and resilience. Amy's recovery, her thriving home, and the support of her family symbolized empowerment, closure, and the fulfillment of long-sought goals. In the end, the Slaton sisters had reclaimed their lives, not just through physical change or external accomplishments, but through courage, self-awareness, and the persistent pursuit of happiness. Each day was a testament to their resilience, each choice a declaration of independence, and each milestone a celebration of growth. Together, they had shown that transformation, emotional, physical, and relational, was achieved through intentional action, reflection, and unwavering belief in one's right to shape life on one's own terms. And so, in homes filled with laughter, resilience, and love, the Slaton sisters moved forward, thriving, empowered, and fully present in the lives they had fought to create.